Hi, I'm Suze Shaner with Community Forum, and tonight my guests are Karla Booth and David Richard, and we're here to talk about life energy art. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming on the show. So you're both affiliated with Life Energy Art Gallery in Mount Kisco, New York. So can you first just tell us about just a brief headline on the gallery, because there's a lot we want to talk about, and how you came to be affiliated with the gallery. So I don't know which one of you wants to go first.
So we've both known Dr. Diamond, and that's whose artwork is exhibited at the gallery for probably 35 years. And over those years, he's had many lovely exhibits. And David and I have often talked about opening a gallery. We've looked at spaces occasionally. And then last year, a space became available. I used to teach yoga there. And the landlord was like, sure, do a pop-up gallery, and then we ended up staying there.
So that's amazing, because you met by taking some of his workshops?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so unfortunately we weren't able to have him here tonight, so we're gonna do the next best thing in a moment. We're gonna show a clip of him, but so it's about his art and the art that he creates, but he's also a psychiatrist, and he also works with his clients on introducing art and art modalities, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Encouraging the creativity of others, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's go to the clip of Dr. Diamond so we can see him, and then we'll talk a little further. So here we go. Here he's going to talk about the purpose of art.
Let's go back. The Paleolithic caves, 35, 40,000 years ago. Our oldest artistic endeavors. And there's been a lot of controversy about what went on in these caves, where they have these paintings, particularly of animals, but other as well. And initially we thought they were there for hunting, but the animals they're supposed to be hunting aren't there. It wasn't to encourage hunting. But these, we now discover, are where the medicine men of the day, the shaman, I think really shay women, performed healing. Now you had very often there was like an entrance cave where I think the most physically ill and those that didn't want more were helped in some way, but then the others went on this odyssey, sometimes a very long, dark, very unpleasant, almost frightening odyssey into the inner cave. And there they held by the light of a tallow candle. They'd see these paintings placed there by the shaman, by the shay women, to help them. And there, I think, obviously there was music, whatever it was, and dance. And it may well be that theatre, as we know it, started there and later became established in the Dionysian tradition in the Asclepian temples. I think it all started back there. All these caves, which were set up as healing. Now, as I understand it, the original purpose of all the arts, as we now separate them and call them the arts, was for healing. A lullaby, which after all is a very, very important and very basic art, is purely altruistic. And so should be the paintings, the dance. It's all altruistic, and it goes way, way back. Now back then, they say in ancient China and Japan, all the arts were seen as spiritual endeavors. What's happened, somehow or other, is the spirit's gone. And we now just have empty vessels, but the spirit is gone. You know, look, you look at a reproduction of the Willendorf Venus, which is what, 5,000–10,000 years old. You say, with what love was that relic made, that image of the mother of all? And everyone who looked at it, everyone who held it, was closer to being healed, have their life energy raised as a result of it. That's what it was supposed to be.
So there's a lot I want to talk about that. So First of all, he talks about shaman. Well, obviously he's from Australia, first of all.
Right.
His accent. But he talks about shaman, shay women, really. Why does he say that?
In the context of these cave paintings,
Yeah.
you're talking about what archaeologists, many archaeologists say are matriarchal cultures.
Yes.
So that if not the direct evidence, at least the understanding is that many of these shaman were women, were actually women. So that the people who painted these cave paintings were probably there were men, but there were probably women too. And the interesting thing that's just to come up in the archaeological evidence is that there were little children that were painting too, doing finger paintings at the base of the.
That they found, yes.
So
That is so interesting.
Isn't it?
Like, you don't hear about this.
It's just,
Why is that?
well, it's relatively new.
yeah.
It's
Wow.
relatively new, but this is this says that art is intrinsic to people,
Yes,
to human
yes.
beings.
Well, and he specifically talks about it being in the inner workings of these caves, particularly for viewing and for healing. Again, how do we know that?
The old theory was that it was for hunting.
Yeah,
That they were basically wanting good luck hunting.
yeah.
Well, that theory has pretty much been discarded in favor of the shamanic healing theory, which was first put forward by Jean Clote, who was the curator for, I don't know, countless years of the Lascaux. He was the French curator of the Paleolithic caves. And he put forward this theory as someone who had been in them more than perhaps anyone else, and really lived with the cave and felt its energy. And so anyway, there's a huge school that supports this idea.
Well, because the other thing he talks about is that the animals that were painted were not real animals, almost like they were sort of mythic or made up. I mean,
No, I think you were saying those weren't necessarily animals that were in that area, is what
Okay.
they're saying. Is what they're
then
saying.
how would they know to paint those animals?
We're looking at a spiritual representation.
Right.
The animals they may have encountered, they were migratory people.
Yeah.
They may have encountered them, but that's not the main point. The main point is that they're representing the spirit of the animal.
Right.
There's only a few images where they're actually showing animals being shot. They wanted to capture, in essence, a spirit.
Well, also the notion he's talking about in terms of art being spiritual, and we've lost that. So what
Yes.
would you say to that?
I think that's true. I mean,
Yeah.
definitely true. Very often it's about art for art's sake or art for making money,
Yeah.
or there's a whole other thing, a direction that art has taken. And it's hard, the more, if you're an artist, to try to make a living,
Yeah.
it often becomes about doing something odd or interesting to make a living at it. So
Well, you know what's interesting, even in terms of just feeling like art, somehow you have to be productive with art.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just share that, I was trained originally as an expressive arts therapist. So I was
Right.
trained as an art therapist, using the art for therapeutic purposes for healing. So let's talk about that. That's Dr. Diamond's premise, right?
Right, for all art. I mean, whether it's photography, painting,
Music, dance, yeah.
any of it. And the idea is that it's about thinking outward with your creativity. So for years we've gone to nursing homes, not to perform, but you go in and you relate to the seniors that are there. There's a whole program of taking children in to work with the seniors. And it's about using your experience of being social and connecting to them and thinking outward that makes it a very special event for both you and the person that's there.
Yeah, yeah.
I think there's really two aspects of this idea of art being spiritual.
Yeah.
One is that it comes through you. Dr. Diamond doesn't even really take credit for
Yeah.
the work that comes through him,
Yeah.
but the other is it comes through you to go outward to another.
Yeah.
So there's the other power and there's the other direction.
Because that's interesting, because a lot of artists can kind of be into their own thing and just focus on creating their art, but you're saying that the purpose of it really ultimately is to have it come through, so you have a communication and a connection
Yes, and to
with
help
other people, to help other people.
Yeah.
And that's where this connection back to the cave paintings goes, because if that's really what they were used for, as I believe that they were,
Yeah.
then it's almost a model for how we should approach things.
It's interesting. So I want to just read a little excerpt here because it's related to life force energy, and so I want to hear what you think about this. So I teach Kundalini yoga and meditation, and I just happened to be reading this book yesterday on Kundalini. And here we go. Kundalini is the creative energy. It is the energy of self-expression. Just as in reproduction of new life is created, in the same way, someone like Einstein uses that same energy in a different, more subtle realm to create a theory like relativity. It is the same energy that is expressed when someone composes or plays beautiful music. It is the same energy which is expressed in all parts of life, whether it's building a business, fulfilling the family duties, or reaching whatever goal you aspire for. These are all expressions of the same creative energy. Everybody must remember that the awakening of Kundalini is the prime purpose of human incarnation. All the pleasures of sensual life which we all are enjoying now are intended only to enhance the awakening Kundalini amidst the adverse circumstances of human life. So this whole notion of creative energy, awakening it, how does this connect to Dr. Diamond's work?
So I'm going to tell a little story because I think it's really it's a great story to explain what life energy is, because Dr. Diamond talks about as being chi, prana. Every culture has their description. But how he got interested in this was when he was an intern at a hospital in Australia as a young man. There were two gentlemen who had both been in motorcycle accidents, were in the hospital. Both actually had to have their legs amputated. They were in terrible accidents. So they would make the rounds, and one gentleman, was still with his girlfriend, his fiance, his family would come in. He was happy. He'd say, "Hey, doc, how's it going?" And the other guy was having a very difficult time, was very depressed, broke up with his girlfriend, was really having a difficult time. They both ended up getting infections, and from that, the man who was having a difficult time passed away. He died. And as they were making their rounds, Dr. Diamond said to the head surgeon or doctor, he said, "So how come that guy died and the other one didn't? They basically had the same injuries.
Yeah.
We treated them the same way."
Yeah.
And the doctor turned and looked at him and said, "Well, some have it and some don't."
It. Yeah.
And he said, "Well, don't you think we should study what the it is?" Like that was the, doesn't that seem to make sense?
Yeah.
So
let's get scientific about the it.
Right. So that started him on this whole long process of looking at holistic healing and what is the it and various kinds of healing and
Which is pretty radical for psychiatrists at that time.
At that time.
We're talking
he
like
was
60 years ago, right?
Yeah, he was way ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
He was really, and he was very interested. He'd always been interested in music and art and photography. And he'd worked in an institution where he saw how much art and creativity could help people.
Yeah.
So that also was always part of his work, you
Yeah.
know, and getting people to feel that they had some power because they could express that creativity. And as soon as you get somebody thinking outward, it takes away all the stage fright, it takes away all the...
And if they're not focused, like editing themselves and focusing
Exactly.
on how good it is, but
Exactly.
just working with the materials, expressing themselves.
Right, and also thinking that it's a gift for someone.
Yeah.
When the children go into the nursing home,
Oh my
they
gosh.
don't think, am I singing well, am I not singing
Yeah.
well?
Right.
They think, I'm giving this to this person.
I'm making this person happy.
I'm making-
I'm making them
I'm
happy.
holding their hands, I'm looking in their eyes.
Yeah.
That's what the arts are for.
Yeah. So the gallery itself
Yep.
displays not his patient's work, but his work.
It's really focused on his work, his
Yeah.
painting, his photography.
Yeah, so we happen to have one right here. So let's go to some of them. Let's talk about them. So
Yep.
can you tell us about this one?
So that's an infrared. So it's taken with an infrared camera, and which changes the light, the play of the light. And none of his work is photoshopped. There's no digital. What do you want to say?
Touch up
or anything. It's really.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
That's beautiful. It actually looks very almost Japanese-like. It's got that Asian kind of feel to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, he has that, he kind of has that, you know.
He's got a lot of books here.
Yeah.
He's been very
He's got that-
prolific.
Right, but he's kind of got that feel in his paintings as well.
I know he doesn't consider himself an artist.
He calls them haiku paintings.
Yeah, but he doesn't really
Still
consider
points.
himself an artist.
No, no, he's a healer. He's a healer.
But the interesting thing is the way he talks about it, he does it he does it in a meditative state. So it's really like an outcome or expression of that meditation,
It's
right?
an active meditation.
Yeah.
Right. So
this is beautiful. Look, can we do a couple more?
yes,
Sure.
please.
Okay. Is this the right way? This one?
Yep. That is.
Okay, so let's talk about this one. I love this.
I know, isn't that gorgeous?
Yeah.
So that's actually from one of his paintings, and then what he would often do is take his camera and take close-ups of sections of it, and he'd spend quite a bit of time looking for that feeling. It's like you're looking at the painting and you're just looking for that feeling when it suddenly makes you go, oh yeah.
So
like
this
that-
isn't the whole painting. He
No.
just took a. So this is
Yes.
actually an acrylic, right?
Yes, that's an acrylic.
So that's what it looks like. So
Yep.
it's a picture of an acrylic painting, but it's just so it's really interesting the way he took it, because if you think about it, not intentionally, but really it's kind of very balanced with the
It's
different
very-
colors, and it's got a lot of movement in there, and
Well,
with
that's
the color.
aha.
That's the aha.
So he kind of framed, it's like,
Oh, yeah.
with the orange red, it's kind of framed like that.
Yeah, and it
right?
wasn't a conscious, I don't think it was like a conscious choice. It's just his years of looking and really letting the energy come out of the painting and
Yeah.
relating to it and relating to it.
Okay, let's do one more here. This one's very different. This is the right way?
No, it's
No.
Upside down.
Okay. Okay. So this is the material.
One of the still points, which is the black ink,
Okay.
which is very inspired by calligraphy, Japanese and Chinese calligraphy, but it's very free. So he talks about it being with the breath and
With the breath.
yeah.
It,
Yeah.
So put it on the corner of the table, the light is going right into it.
Oh, okay.
Corner, yes.
Okay. We're told that
I've got
you couldn't
it.
see it that well. Okay. So it actually looks very balanced
I think
in a way. It does have a sense of there's movement,
It
but
has
there's
a sense of incredible sense of-
dynamism, but
yep.
there's balance in there, and
Yep.
it almost looks like little chakras, really, like wheels of energy in a way.
Right. I don't think it's not it's not meant to look like anything in particular.
Yeah, it's abstract.
It's
Yeah,
abstract.
yeah.
But one of the things that he's worked a lot on, and he'll do with any of his students, is, so you do a painting, and then just looking at it and saying, oh, but if I just did a little dot there, or if I just, it would balance it out. Like,
Yeah.
and getting very skilled at being able to do that.
So
Spending time
let me
with
tell
it.
you, and obviously I was just sort of projecting, like a
Yeah, yeah.
projective test in a way,
No, no.
especially with black, project whatever you think is on there.
Exactly.
But I'm curious, because he also talks about the act of viewing paintings is healing. And he's talked about, I've tested these paintings. How does he test this, and how can he, quote, sort of prove that this is actually healing? Even though I look at it and I like it, I get some feelings from it, but what does he mean when he says that?
So that's from many, many years of his research, and it's a little bit complicated. He does a lot of research with each painting that he does. And when I first met him,
Yeah.
I used to go up and he would go through his slides, and he had no problem, like if it wasn't life enhancing, to just throw it out, and I'd be like, well, that's really beautiful, but he would just kind of let it go.
But when he said he tests it and he's kind of proven that it's healing, like, is he doing some kind of kinesiology? I mean,
Well, so he was the founder of
Yeah.
behavioral kinesiology. He
Yeah.
studied with Dr. Goodhart, who was applied kinesiologist, and he trained with Dr. Goodhart. So yes, he has a special room. Like, there's no EMF, there's no lights, that are fluorescent. There's a
Yeah.
whole. So it's this very special space where there's no outside interference on the testing. And then what he does is he reduces somebody's life energy by putting magnets and other various things. And if it's really
and then
high
he'll show them the
energy-
painting and test
yeah,
them
and
them
he's
again?
never looking at it. He's testing somebody. He's not looking at it, so he doesn't.
But I think the
That's
larger
the- yeah, that's
that's
not-
the background. But the larger point is how what his intention is and how you as a viewer feel when you look at it. It doesn't, in some ways, it doesn't really matter.
No, but I was just, I understand that, but that's something that I had a question about because he kept talking about how I've tested these, and I'm thinking.
Well, that's in his, I know, and that's in one of his workshops, and so he's
I'm like,
using
how,
it, right.
How has he tested it? So I just was curious. I mean, I look at it and I'm like, it's interesting, it's, you know, I can get different things from it, but I was just curious when he's claiming, because that's a strong claim. You know, claiming that viewing this heals people.
No, he never says that.
No.
He said stuff like that. He said his viewing this is healing for somebody to view it.
Raise the life energy.
Okay, that's
Yep.
that's another way to say it.
Yeah.
But to raise the life energy and that he's tested it. That's why I was asking. I mean, maybe I was being a stickler there, but I was asking.
No, that's okay.
What does he mean by that?
Right.
Yeah.
So, and he does it with various people, and you know, I mean, like he's a real researcher.
Yeah.
It's not just he's not just being, you know.
So I'm
flamboyant.
curious. So the gallery. So okay, this is beautiful. So we put it.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if it's.
But also, I think one of the important things is we're talking about the feeling that you get from the artwork.
Yes.
And the whole idea with the gallery was to create a space that was healing and a space where you could come and just experience the artwork.
Yes.
And that's really what I mean, you really do have to come and experience it. It's not a typical gallery. Like people walk in and they're like,
Because of the
artwork,
the way it's created.
the way it's created, the way it's set up, it's designed for people to come in and just feel like you're in a very different place.
And the feeling. The feeling.
Yeah.
So I'm curious though, so he's done a lot of his own artwork. He's also a musician too, right? So he's done a lot of his own expression with the arts. He's worked a lot with patients with their working with artwork.
Right.
I'm curious why he doesn't have any of his patients' paintings in the gallery.
Oh, we just haven't gotten to that point yet.
Oh, so that's on the agenda?
Well, we've talked about, because we have one of our colleagues actually works with art with children. And so like we're going to do an exhibit of their artwork. We have some other things on, but we just haven't gotten to that point yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
'Cause right now it's all his artwork,
At the
right?
moment it's all of his artwork, and we have, I don't know, we have so many years of his artwork to display that, you know, it keeps us pretty busy.
Does he sell his artwork?
Yes, he
Oh,
sells his
okay.
artwork.
Just curious.
And he's still painting every day.
Oh, wow.
He's still painting and
'Cause he's-
taking photographs every day.
That's amazing.
We can't keep up.
And the thing about each one of these is, you know, he brings his aspiration to it in order to inspire us.
Yes.
So coming to the gallery is also a way of gaining personal inspiration for the creativity.
To go out and be creative.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
right.
So when I leave, I feel energized and ready to.
So you have this idea. So you've been working with him for years.
Yep.
You have this idea to do the gallery. So why now? It just sort of came about because it's like it been on your mind, and then this space came up, and I was like,
Yep.
why not?
We had been looking at spaces. We hadn't found the right thing, and we kind of stopped for a bit, and then suddenly this space became available.
Actually, Karla's being modest. She was a
I was-
big she was a big
I
inspiration.
really wanted to have
Karla's,
it happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really wanted
So,
it. Yeah.
so you said you're. I don't know if you said on the show, but I know you're a massage therapist.
I'm an Alexander teacher. Yeah.
Alexander teacher.
Yeah.
So that's really working with energy and alignment and
Yes,
everything. So
yes.
how does this work inspire that work
Okay,
for
so
you?
I have to say I've pretty much moved my practice over to the gallery because there's a
really?
back room and so we walk around the gallery and people are so.
It's an interesting environment to have your practice.
It's
right?
wonderful. I do a yoga class there as well, a gentle yoga class. But people are so inspired by and fascinated by the feeling, and they always comment.
So let me ask you this: what advice would you give someone who feels like maybe they need to bolster their life energy, or they're not creative, or they're working through something, in terms of having them do some art, or like they say, I'm not creative? Like, what advice would you give them? Just come and look at them, or what?
Everyone's creative, and
Yeah.
I think it's just finding the outlet so that you're not judging yourself, and again having this purpose of doing the artwork don't know, whether it's for your mother or for your, but for someone is
Yeah.
really helpful.
So, I feel like maybe we should have you on again. We have like a couple more minutes, but I think we have like 2 or 3 more minutes. But are there just a couple of
Yes.
other ones that you might want to pop up and show us? I don't know if we have time to go
Let's
through
do
all
this
of them.
really quickly. That's another infrared.
Beautiful.
It's a beautiful still
It's
point.
so interesting that he feels like he's not artistic or he's not like an artist because so does he gets into a meditative state and then he does these, like he'll go meditate.
He's constantly meditating and
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
gets inspired to then go.
That is
go
very
out and-
different.
Yeah. So he also does. This is like on sand. He works with sand. He works with
Because
twigs.
you're saying it's not touched up. I'm like, what the heck is that?
No, it's not touched
Oh,
up,
it's fascinating.
isn't it?
We've got 2 minutes, so let's show
okay.
a couple more. But I wish we
I
could see
know,
them
like
all.
which ones?
That's really interesting. And then he's written so many books and different.
Yep.
I just
he's very
wanted to
prolific.
particularly mention this book, Still Points. You ask, what can someone do?
Yeah.
In this book, he teaches people how to do the still points types of paintings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Great.
it's deceptively simple in one sense, but it's also
It's a process and a technique.
He's invested 60 years of himself in the process.
And
so.
also helping people if they
Yeah.
want to do it. And, okay, really interesting. So, just a quick headline. What's the vision for the gallery overall, long term?
So we have changing exhibitions, and we have hopefully some talks by Dr. Diamond and some workshops by people. So what most of all, we'd love for people to come in and be inspired by the space
that's
and use
fabulous.
the space. Use the space.
That's fabulous. Okay, so if anybody was interested in anything we talked about today, how would they reach you?
They could reach me at Karla@lifeenergyarts.com.
All right, thank you guys for coming on the
Thank
show.
you.
I'm so energized.
Thank
just
you
by
very
everything
much.
We talked about. I feel like there's so much we can look
I know,
at.
it's like
we can
keep-
read. I mean, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Please come in.
I will. I'm Suze Shaner. Until next time, thank you for joining us.